100%. That's the alarming spike in RSV and respiratory illness at a local hospital, and that number could rise more heading into the holidays. You're watching News 4 at 5 on air and streaming. I'm Samantha Jones.
And I'm Corey Stark. Like most hospitals around the country, St. Louis Children's Hospital is seeing the highest rate of RSV and illnesses in 2 years.
Russell Kinzel explains what's contributing to that spike, and he's also sharing with us tonight one mom's story. Russell.
I talked to a mom of twin 10-month-old boys. She had to bring them here to St. Louis Children's Hospital several times because they had RSV. RSV is striking infants. Flu is striking children and young adults. And if the numbers keep climbing, it could put a strain on local hospitals.
He threw up the ibuprofen I tried to give him. He threw up the Tylenol I tried to give him. So we went to the emergency room.
Caroline Livingstone has two 10-month-old twins nicknamed Chip and Moss. Both got RSV. She took them to a hospital ER after one had a fever of 104.
They then transported us by ambulance from the hospital that we were at to Children's downtown, where I then had to sit in the emergency room waiting room for 2 hours with my child because there was no space for us.
One of the twins eventually had to spend the night at St. Louis Children's Hospital till he could breathe well enough on his own.
We were on oxygen for a while, admitted to the hospital overnight, and then were released the next day.
Children and adults are getting sick in huge numbers this season from respiratory illnesses, both RSV and the flu. Dr. Steve Lawrence is a Washington University infectious disease specialist at Barnes-Jewish Hospital.
It's hitting 3 or 4 weeks earlier than what we normally see, and the rate of rise, so how quickly those cases are multiplying, is really remarkable.
Flu cases have shot up sharply in the last 2 weeks in Missouri. More than 1,700 cases last week alone. More than 4,000 since the start of flu season, compared to just over 800 at this same time of year before the pandemic in the 2018-2019 flu season. And 50% of those getting sick, ages 5 to 24. The pandemic is partly to blame for the RSV and flu case spikes. Very few people had either the last 3 years.
That level of exposure and constant exposure to the even milder infections goes away, so that our overall level of immunity against it probably does wane.
Caroline Livingstone has a word of warning for families gathering for Thanksgiving.
It's not your baby. Don't kiss it. If you have any cold-like symptoms, don't go around the babies. I mean, that's all you can say.
Here's what parents of very young children need to know. If they're having trouble breathing, really labored breathing, they won't take liquids and they won't wake up to feed, you need to seek immediate medical help. They might have RSV and their condition could worsen rapidly. Live in the Central West End, Russell Kinzel, News 4.